The year is 12 AD. In ancient Rome, Germanicus, a Roman general, coupled with Agrippina the Elder, decided to squeeze out one Gaius Caesar Augustus Germanicus. At the age of 2, Gaius accompanied his father Germanicus on campaigns in the north of Germania. He wore a miniature soldier's outfit, notably some cute itty-bitty little army boots that led to soldiers nicknaming him Caligula, meaning little boot in Latin. And unfortunately for little Caligula, the nickname stuck. But in hindsight, they were probably doing him a solid. 5 years later, Caligula's father Germanicus is found dead. Cause of death? Poisoned. Perpetrator? Tiberius, the reigning Roman emperor and also Germanicus' uncle. A little backstory is actually needed for this Tiberius fellow. Tiberius Julius Caesar Augustus, born in 42 BC to a well-known Roman politician and some other piss random Roman woman who later left little Tiberius' father for Augustus, the first Roman emperor. Then tragedy struck. Augustus fell gravely sick. Now he's looking for someone to take the throne after him. Problem was, Augustus only had 2 biological sons who were supposed to take rule after he died, but they both died unexpectedly young. There was also this other guy that Augustus adopted once, but then he was like, oh shit, go back, and unadopted him after he turned out to be a massive dick and didn't really feel like doing anything that wasn't fishing. So Augustus was like, great, now I'm stuck with this guy that nobody likes, including myself. Oh well, better a small fist in an empty dish, am I right? Later, bitches. And unsurprisingly enough, Tiberius turned out to be one of the most evil, tyrannical and cruel rulers ancient Rome has ever faced. Apparently once on a remote shore, a fisherman jump-scared him and offered him a fish. This enraged Tiberius and in retaliation ordered the fisherman's face to be roughly scrubbed with that same fish. And after the whole ordeal was done, the fisherman dared to utter under his breath, "Thank God I didn't try and give this motherfucker a big ass crab or something." Tiberius overheard him say this and commanded that the man's face be torn to shreds with the claws of a crab as punishment. So why do we care about this Tiberius guy? Well, after he allegedly poisoned his own nephew Germanicus, he also banished his wife and children, all except for little Caligula, who was spared by Tiberius and took him under his wing as his little padawan in training. And despite being adopted by the same man that single-handedly destroyed his entire family, Caligula played along and acted like Tiberius' servant for the most part. Up until Tiberius' death, where Caligula may or may not have suffocated him with a pillow. 37 AD. Caligula is now emperor. The first several months of him being emperor went completely fine. Everyone loved Caligula, mostly due to the fact that he just wasn't Tiberius, but they loved him nonetheless. And by engaging in many generous stunts and smart political decisions, Caligula was successful in winning the people's hearts during the first few months of his reign. And that's about it for the good that he was able to achieve, because it didn't take long for the goofiness to kick in. In late 37 AD, just when Caligula was about to conclude his first year as emperor, Caligula fell ill with some sort of mysterious brain fever, probably due to lead poisoning, because Caligula was known for gobbling down wine like a freshly divorced middle-aged woman, and at the time wine contained a high percentage of lead, which probably led to him getting sick. Pun unintended. And after he was overwhelmed by his fever, it was as if some lunatic nerd was isekai'd into his body, because he never was the same after he woke up. Before Caligula became emperor, a fortune teller was already praying for his downfall when he said Caligula had no more chance of becoming emperor than of riding a horse across the Gulf of Baiae. Caligula remembered this, and to prove the haters wrong, bro ordered a 5-kilometer floating bridge to be made across the Gulf of Baiae so that he can march back and forth on top of his trusty horse in Citatus. A lesser known fact is that before doing this, Caligula grave robbed Alexander the Great and nicked his chest plate in broad daylight, which he triumphantly wore during the entire parade. Caligula also started becoming way more financially irresponsible. He liked to party, and he was damn good at it too. He ordered 2 massive sex boats to be made that he would host the most extravagant banquets and orgies in. And whenever he hosted a party, he would make all of the women present line up in front of him, then proceed to pick the one he liked most to take to his sex dungeon. And if that wasn't bad enough, when he finished, he'd come back, find the poor woman's husband, and basically give him a detailed review of his wife's bed performance.
What the actual fuck?
And speaking of fuck, Caligula's lavish spending ended up coming back to fuck him right in the ass. He supposedly burned through the entire 2.76 billion sestertii that Tiberius had saved up during his 2-decade-long rule, and Caligula managed to squander all of it in only a year or so.
Billion slaves.
It's actually hard to say how much one sestertius is actually worth today in dollars, since it's a commodity currency rather than fiat currency. But during the Roman Empire, sestertii were made of brass and tended to weigh on average 26.5 grams. If we consider that the average price of brass today is around 3.75 US dollars per kilogram, it would make 2.76 billion sestertii, the equivalent of 274 million US dollars today. To get himself out of this shitty situation, Caligula just started killing random ass rich people just so he could seize their money and belongings. He also allegedly started pimping his own sisters to raise more money, all three of which he ended up sleeping with in order to impregnate them, since he had an unwavering belief that his bloodline was divine, and that justifies Allah banging his own sisters apparently. Due to unknown reasons, Caligula once declared war on Neptune, the god of the sea. I kid you not, bro sent an entire army to the English Channel, where they were ordered to start swinging at the water and to collect seashells. Caligula also had this raging hatred for the Roman Senate. He made it his life's mission to unleash as much humiliation on them as possible. One of his most infamous stunts was planning to make his horse incitatus a consul, which was a high-ranking position in the Roman government at the time. He insulted and humiliated senators in public by mocking their physical appearance and their lineage, which was bold coming from the guy that banned any mention of goats in his presence just because he thought that he looked like one. He even forced some of the senators to participate in humiliating acts, such as wrestling or gladiator fights. He executed several senators without a fair trial, accusing them of plotting against him or of being involved in conspiracies. The executions weren't particularly merciful either. One senator was thrown in an arena to be viciously torn apart by wild animals. All of this led to the Senates eventually having enough of Caligula's tomfoolery when they managed to conspire with Caligula's own guards to corner and game end him in his own castle. Caligula lived one of the most eventful and bizarre lives I've ever read about. The weird shit he did is so abundantly documented online that the video would have to be over an hour long for me to include everything. Anyways, watch this video next. I don't know what it's about, but I'm sure it's very cool and epic. Trust me bro, click it. Click it now. Click it.